So this is a week 2 lab session, and we're beginning with the simple select statement. And of course, we know what this entails. It's just the select and the from clause. State the columns you want to retrieve, and let the system know the table from which the columns are coming from. That's just the simple select statement. So this project we're going to see today is centered around the simple select statement, and we're going to be making use of the inventory database. I think we had this from the last session. So if you check your database folder, you're going to see inventory right here. Okay, so just click on this link. I'm going to put this link on the chat window. I need somebody to help us with the first question. It's a lab session, so the goal is to do hands-on session, and you can also use an opportunity to review the concept we did over the weekend. So let's begin. I need somebody to help with the first question. So let's see what it's all about. We're going to be using the salesman table. We expected to write a query that displays all information about all salespeople. So all information, that's basically all the columns, right? So anyone attempted this question? Velashe, did you have time to go over this? Jules, any idea?
Yes, I had time to go over all of them. Well, I had except for like a few, but I did it.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Let me see. Let me share your
Okay.
screen.
Let me share your screen.
Is that echo coming from my end or?
Is that echo coming from my end or?
Yes.
Okay, just a moment. Let me mute the other screen. Okay, I'll go ahead and demonstrate the first one. So this is what I expected to do. Just copy the question, and so this is the question right here. I'm just gonna copy it. We know that the table we're working on is salesman. I'm just gonna copy the question, take it to management studio. I'm gonna paste this and make a block comment out of this. It's gonna spread across more than one. So more than one line. I'm just gonna put a break right here, and this is the second block comment symbol. So this is it. And if you have a question like this, the first thing you want to do is make sure you connect to, sorry, you see what I did right here? This is supposed to be inside. That's the closing symbol, see? Now this will show up correctly. So use inventory. We're told to use the inventory database. So this is the first thing I'm going to do. Make sure I'm connected to inventory. So when I execute this, watch what happens right here. That's what we get. Right. And from the question itself, the sample table was provided is salesman. So all I need to do is now build my select style from salesman. If you want to know if salesman is in what schema, you can always go into the database itself, tables folder, and right here. So it's in the DBO schema, right? And now I can just put DBO dot salesman right here. If I execute this, this is the table we have for the salesman. So they want us to give all the columns. We can now start typing them. Our salesman ID. As you type, you see the intelligence is going to give you the suggestions on column names, and you can just click on the right one. Name, same thing. It's right here. Put a comma. The next one is city. It's right here. Put a comma. And the last one is the commission right here. So this is what you expected to do. See that this is has always been the workflow. Read the question, connect to the database, uh, identify the table, run a select star from the table, execute it, remove the asterisk, and show the correct columns that were requested in the question. Any question on this? Okay, I need somebody to help us with question 2. I need somebody to volunteer and share their solution for question 2. So this is question 2 right here. Let me copy this and put right here.
Good evening, sir. Sorry, I'm just coming in and I have a question with the first one.
Okay, Mavis, yeah. So the first question, just a moment. Let me go back to the first question. So this is the first question right here. We're
Yeah.
expected to write a SQL statement that displays all the information about all the sales people, and you're making use of the salesman table.
Yes, sir. So my question is, do we need to type all of that or we can use star?
Yeah, so this is a good question, and that question can be answered from. So I'm going to answer in two ways. First, if you are exploring the table, right, you feel free to use select star, right? But then
Okay.
if you want to submit the code to your manager, share with your supervisors, share with your colleagues, or use them in production environment, the asterisk is not a good idea. So if I'm just
Okay.
exploring my table, I just want to see the records in the salesman table. Yeah, just do your select star and that's it. Exploration, you're exploring the table. But once you are answering the business requirement and you'll be submitting this code to your the project owner, sharing with them with your colleagues at the job site, or using it in production, you see, or copying this. Last time I copied this and I launched it in Tableau or use it in Power BI. That's when you can avoid the use of the asterisk. Right. And
Okay.
that is a very interesting question. And you're going to see the answer to that question is documented in this. Let me show you this document right here. So the two. This document is one very important document you get from this training. SQL question and answers. It has SQL questions and answers right in front of you. And I give you guys an assignment to complete the first 4. And the fourth question right here is related to your question. Right? Why should you specify column names rather than asterisk when writing the select list? This will write the select list is a list of columns in your select clause. You keep hearing about select list. It's simply a list of columns. This is your select clause. This is constituted called select list. Columns you've listed out on your select clause. This is the select list. Right? This is a terminology you have to know. What is a select list? It's simply the list of columns in your select clause. This is my select clause right here, and these columns I've listed out. This constitutes what we call the select list. So on your select list, instead of putting an asterisk right here, what is it advisable to list out columns? See? And there are two things that comes to mind. The first one is the some columns are sensitive. Right? If you put an asterisk, if there are 50 columns in a table, all 50 will show up. And the more you keep adding the columns, each time you run an asterisk, everything shows up. If you're solving a specific question, they give you specific requirements, specific columns to list out. How you want to chop all the columns from the table. The more columns you specify right here, when you submit this query, you send more information to be processed to the server. the server is busy processing a huge amount of information. It takes a long time to process it. And I'm going to introduce you to something when you run a query in execute, watch out the time span right here. Last time we talked about this number. This is a number of rows in the table you've executed. This time clock, this time stamp right here, is how many seconds, minutes, hours has gone by when you've clicked and execute. That's what they call the processing time. How long does it take to process that information? This is a very small data table. It's just 6 rows. The company is dealing with millions of records. So your processing time is always going to be flat right here. So the more information you submit for processing, the more time the system takes to process that information. So just imagine you're calling all columns in the table and all the data, and you're dealing with the millions of records. So the traffic to the server is heavy, and the processing time will be slower. And if you read this information right here, so you will do this to decrease the amount of network traffic. You see, so the fewer columns you specify, the less network traffic to server and the better the performance. You see, it's all about the load you set to the server and how the server performs in processing that load. The smaller the lighter the load, the higher the processing time. Right now, you're getting 0 seconds, zero throughout. This is very small information of past the server, just 6 rows to process, and it goes really fast. You don't really feel anything. You see, this is very important. So I give this an assignment to read on this, and then retrieving only columns needed for the application or report. So this is you're gonna find this helpful when you go to the next module where you're building a report, you're building a dashboard. Right? To the number of columns that have been specified. Right? If it asks you to display just the salesman ID and the sales name, and the salesman who has 50 columns, why will you load 50 columns when you've been asked to display just two? You see that? And that's what you get asked. Asked will load all the 50 columns in the table. Meanwhile, the description requested just 2 columns. So it's all about safeguarding your performance, the processing time it takes for the server to work on the information, the instruction you provided with. So this is you're gonna see more of this in the second module. So you can also keep users from seeing confidential information. Right. Just imagine you're dealing with patient information. You do select stuff from the patient table. Everything about a patient will be displayed on the screen. See that? And now you're going to use that information to build a report. You're calling all that information to report. Right? It's better to just go for the specific color that we requested, because the confidential information will not be displayed, because you're going to drop it out. If I don't want to see this column, drop it out. It's not going to show up. You see, this column is confidential. I've dropped it out. With the asterisk, you cannot hide any confidential column. Asterisk means show me all columns in the table. So you have the ability to control what will be displayed in the result and what will not be displayed by taking out the asterisk and manually typing the columns in it. Okay? Yeah,
Yes, thank you so much.
that's let me just stop right here.
No problem.
Yeah, question. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no question. Jules. I'm not able to access my SQL. It can't connect.
Okay, just a moment. Let me share your screen. Let's do it. Okay, so in network related instances,
Yes. For instance.
okay, can you click on OK?
Can you click on OK?
Oh, Juice, can you mute yourself? I'm trying to track where the echo is coming from.
I'm trying to track
Okay, okay.
Okay. So go to your search bar at the bottom left hand side and just type services. On the bottom left hand side, it says type here to search here. Just type services. Yeah, click on that services here. So this is what I'm trying to do. I want to make sure I go to the services location of your laptop and check if SQL Server Management Studio, the instance you're trying to connect, is actually running. If you look at the columns right, it has name, description, status. So the services location takes you to all the applications running on your laptop. So if you go to the status column, you're going to see all those that are running. It shows they're running. So you have the name of the application, the description of the application, and the status column. So we're going to look for SQL Server. Just scroll down to the S section. It's in alphabetical order. Okay, right here, you're going to see, can you maximize the screen? So we want to look at, so the name is right there, Doom 2022. So SQL Server. Okay, SQL Server. Just a moment, let me check. Analysis services. How many instances do you have on your laptop? I think it should be just one. Let's see.
I think there's just one now, that Doom 22.
Okay, can you go back to SQL Server? Go back to the application, SQL Server Management Studio. Yes, this one. So you have database engine, server name is that. I'll click on the drop down menu on server name. Click on that drop down on server name. Yeah, that one. Click on that. I'll go to browse for more. Yeah, expand on database engine. Okay, yeah, that's correct. That's the right one. Okay, go ahead and just cancel. And then go to options. See, you have connect, cancel, help, options. Yeah, click on options. Can you check the box that says trust server certificate? And go ahead and click on connect. It should not take this long. Something is wrong. Okay, just a moment. Let me take a picture of this.
Just a moment, let me take a picture of this.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead and shut down everything. Shut down the management studio. And we're gonna try to relaunch it again. Shut down everything. Management studio. Just start by clicking OK. Cancel out. Yeah, cancel on this. Okay, go to. Can you right click on this management studio, and the funny thing is that we cannot even find your SQL server on this list. All right, all your is supposed to be listed right here. I see analysis services. That's not what we're looking for. Integration services, but I don't see SQL server. Just a moment. Let me check on my side. Can you shut down your laptop and restart it again? Can you restart your laptop? Yeah, let's try that. Restart and when you're back.
Let's try
Okay,
that.
okay,
Sign into the class when you're back. Yeah.
Sign into the class when you're back.
okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I've been explaining and my microphone was muted. So let me repeat this again. So there's a question right here. They want you to write a SQL statement to display a string, to display the string. You see that? Now you have to understand that this string right here is not coming from a table, but notwithstanding, we need to always put our select. Right, this is the command to print out an information, right? And this information we want to print out is not coming from a table, and you correctly identify that this is a string. If I want to print a number, I'm just going to put this, right, and execute. All right, this is just a number. It's not a string. You don't need to put it in this environment. When you put it like this, it now becomes a string, right? So this is different. So in this case, we want to print out this string. You just have to set the environment, right? This and this, and we put the string we want to print inside, right? And this is it right here. Did anyone have this correct? If you place the double quotation mark like you see right here, you're gonna have an error. Right, strings are not placed in double quotation marks. And if you place it in double quotation mark, you will get an error. See, this is very, very important. See that? So if you're dealing with letters, you place them in a single quotation environment. We've talked about this before. If you omit the single quotation environment, you're gonna have an error. You cannot use double quotation. See what they did right here. This is just the instruction. They don't know what is going on in the SQL side. You, as the SQL analyst, you understand that for strings, we are using single quotation mark. Right. The worst mistake you make is to put it like this without enclosing it within a single quotation mark. There's an error. Right. So this is very important. Did anyone have this correct? Was this a difficult question? And of course, this is not coming from a table. We don't need a from clause for this. See, this information you see right here is not hosted in any table. Right. It's like I tell you to print out or return the value dollars. You're just gonna put select dollars is a string and you just type dollars and that's it. This does not come from a table. You don't need to specify the from clause. Right, what would be the name of the table you put right here? So the string dollars is not coming from a table. It's just an arbitrary letter. You see, if I run that, this is what you get. So this is the same thing right here. I need a question. Any question on this?
No.
Okay, good. Yeah, this one was kind of straightforward, and I think it's the same thing we're gonna see on the next one. And let me just copy this so that we can discuss. Please, if you let's use an opportunity to actually understand this concept. So if I project something you don't understand, just let me know. I'm gonna explain it again. Right? I want you to understand when you're dealing with the table and when you're not dealing with the table. Right? When you're dealing with the table, you're gonna be dealing with columns. And when you select from the column, right, you're going to have values showing up. Right, that's a key. That's very important. Right, but this right here is not a question that has to deal with the database or deal with a table. They just want you to write a SQL query to display three numbers. It could be any number of any three numbers of your choice, and you have to place this in three columns. I think we did something similar last time. I talked about an interview question. Write a query which will return three numbers, 1, 2, and 3, in columns A, B, and C. Similar thing right here. So you could choose any three random numbers of your choice. Let's go with, for example, 50, 100, 120, just three random numbers. If I stop right there and execute this, these are three numbers. They're going to show up in three columns, right? And last time we said that if you have this, it's your duty or your responsibility to provide the names of the columns. And again, they're just going to be three random columns, right? You can just say, okay, I'm going to put this in a column called A, and let's run this and see what happens. So this is the value and you're assigning this value in a column A, and that's what you see right here. Right. And you can go to the next one, you do the same. This value of 100, we're going to assign into a column called B. Run this and see what happens. Right. And the last one, this value, we're going to assign it into a column called C. And then run this. Right. So please, I want you to solve this. Choose 3 random numbers, type them out, command separate them, execute the query, and then assign them to their respective columns. And you're going to come up with something like this. It could be any random numbers. And the column names don't also matter. You could choose any column names of your choice. Are we okay? Again, this is just building setting the foundation so that we will start writing those complex queries. We've had a solid foundation. You see, you have to understand how values and columns interact. See that this is very important. Some people omit the AS keyword is optional. It will still give you the same result. But I don't like this option. It just says 50 is going to be placed in a column called A. You can try that out and you're going to see for yourself that yes, the AS keyword is optional. If you remove it, the system still understands that the value is 50 and the column is B. That's but it looks very funny. You see, but this is also correct. So the AS keyword is optional. I think that's it. I'm going to put right here. I'm going to put a comment right here. So the AS keyword is optional. But you have to be aware of this. AS keyword is optional. You understand the meaning of an optional construct. If you want to put it, fine. If you don't want to put it, it's still fine. So I can go back. This is me. I like this option because it is explicit. Right. See that? So this version is explicit. This is what you get. Right. Nicely defined. This version is also correct. Removing the AS keyword, since it's optional, you still get the same outcome. Are we okay? Yes, I want to stop right here. Please go ahead and practice this. Type this out. Choose any 3 random numbers and also any 3 random columns. Okay, are we good? Okay, I want us to go to the next question. Okay, I need somebody to help us with this one. Write a SQL query to display the sum of 2 numbers. And this time they've provided you the numbers. So just write a query to add those 2 numbers. Right, so who can help us with this? Grace, I'm going to share your screen. Let's work on this together. Okay. Yeah. Take us to your management studio. Okay. Just a moment. Let me send the question over. Let me copy the question. I'm gonna paste the question on the chat window. You can copy it from there and just put it on your management studio. Copy together with the comment symbol at the top and at the bottom. So just copy everything you see. Yeah, right there. Excellent. Yeah. So Control C and Control V. Okay. And yeah. Okay. So what's the first word you're gonna type? Select. If you're dealing with a select statement, that is always going to be the opening statement. So type the select keyword, and let's go back. What numbers are there? We have the sum of 10 and 15. So just go ahead and type 10, put the sum symbol, and put a space and type the plus and 15. Yeah, put a space. Yeah. Go ahead and execute. So this is an arithmetic operation. You're going to see that's an addition. So the system will go ahead and add those two numbers. See that? Okay, now I want this was not requested, but I want us to I want you to provide a name for that column. So you're going to continue, click after the number 15. Yes, click right there. Just put a space, put the AS keyword, right, and then type result. Just type the result. Put a space and type result. So this 10 plus 15, the value is 25. It will be stored inside the column called result. That's what you've instructed the system to do. So if you go ahead and execute, this time around, it will be different. You will actually have a column name result containing the value 25. Grace, is that understood? Any question from anybody on this? Okay, Jules, I'm gonna share your screen and we can just try one more time. If not, I will just uh, I'll take a screenshot of the error and we can fix. I'm gonna do some research on it and let you know how to fix it. But let's just give it one more try. I'm working with Jules. Can you all go to the next question and start solving it? Okay, can you go to options? Let's try that again. Go to the options. Yeah, options and check on that trust. Yeah, and click on connect. No. I think Yeah, click on OK. Yeah, go back to that options. Uh, I think yeah, this is good. Yeah, click on connect. Okay, just a moment. Let me take a screenshot. So I'll do some research on this. And where we're normally supposed to fix this is on the services. But when we go to the services, yeah, can you just go ahead and click on OK? Right, click on OK. And can you cancel? Can you type launch that services again? Yeah. Can you right click? Just a moment. All right. I want you to cancel the services. All right. And I would show you a different way to do it. Your cancel is on the tax bar. There are two of them, two services. Can close, shut down both of them. There's one, yeah, right there. Shut down that one. Okay, so I'll go back to the search and type services. Now, can you right click on the services? Right click. You see run as administrator. Click on that. Okay, let's go to the S section. So let's go to SQL Server. So we're looking for SQL Server. Yeah, now it's showing up. That's what we were looking for previously. Yes, you see this right here. Can you right click on that? You see under status, it's not running. It's not showing anything. You have to right click and click on run or start. Sorry, click on start. Okay, now it's good. Can you shut it down? And you should be able to connect now. Yeah, just go ahead and shut it down and click on connect. Okay, I think you're good.
Magic is working.
Yes, awesome. Yeah. So yeah, the technique
Thank
was
you very much.
the trick was to see that services stuff and SQL Server. Okay, you're good. Yep. Okay.
Okay,
Let me
thanks
come.
very much.
Awesome. Let me come back to my screen. Okay, I'm just gonna go back. So I think this is what we did while you were restarting your laptop. There was this question that did not need a table. This right here is similar to what we did in class. So write a SQL statement to display a string, and this is the name of the string that was specified. And there was this little confusion right here. If you see, the string was specified with double quotation. Please take note, in SQL, we don't recognize double quotation. Right? So strings are placed within single quotation. If I tell you to write a select statement which will return the value dollars, right? That is a string. So anything that has to do with letters, that's what we call strings in SQL. Right. So this is basically what you're gonna do. Right. I know by now you understand that if you just type letters like this and execute, you will get an error. This is very, very important. For numbers, you're fine. You can type in number and execute. Numbers don't need those single quotation marks. They're numbers, right? This is very, very important. So that's exactly what we're being tested right here. But then the little confusion right here is the double quotation. So if you put a double quotation right here, and for those of you who practice this, you might have noticed that you get an error, right? And always remember that double quotations are not the recognized environment for strings. strings are placed in single quotation marks. Right? And that's all that was needed for this question. This value is not being pulled from any table. That's why the from clause is not needed. If you put the from clause, what table will you specify? What table is hosting this information? There's no table. This is just an arbitrary information. So you have to understand when to just return a string, an arbitrary string, and when you are asked to return columns that are coming from a table. You see, in this question one, these columns are coming from a table. So it will be a severe error if you remove the from clause. Then this becomes useless. You see that? These are actual column names, and columns are found within tables. And now you begin to appreciate the importance of the from clause in your select statement. I am requesting for these columns to be displayed. And you have to understand that columns don't come from space. They are hosted within tables. The from clause is necessary to point to the correct table. You see, so go to the inventory database. Within the inventory database, connect to the salesman table and return to me these columns. And last time I said if you return columns, they will show up with their data. See, this is them showing up with the data in it. You see, right? So this second question right here has nothing to do with the from clause. No table is needed. It is just an arbitrary string, and it's the same thing with the next one. Right. So I just want to review this so that you can catch up on this. This third one, write a SQL query to display three numbers in three columns. It could be any number of your choice. So no specific numbers were, documented in this question. You have to come up with any three random numbers of your choice. So this is what we did. See, these are three numbers, and by assigning this, we get this number 50. We go into column A. 100 we go into column B, 120 we go into column C. And I was making a further explanation on this. The AS keyword, we're going to see this in the lecture on Wednesday or on Saturday. This is an optional keyword. So if you remove it, so it's normally supposed to be like this. What happens if you take it out? Right, it's still going to work. See, so it's an optional keyword. It's not mandatory. So if you take it out, it still works. You see, same thing like the one we had above. You see, same structure. Right. So the AS keyword is optional. I have to show you this because some people code like this in the company. Others are, they are very explicit in what they code. They document every single thing. I prefer this option right here. You see that? Right. So before you came in with Grace just solved this question. It's a very simple and straightforward question. Write a select statement that will sum up two numbers. In this case, the two numbers were specified. Right. Again, you understand that we are dealing with the select statement. It's all about retrieving data, printing out information. The select, you always have to do that. See, you cannot just go to management studio and you just type in 10 plus 15. All right, this is not a calculator. Like you're doing a calculator and you get them out. See, you're missing a very important part, which is what? To print out this information. And that's the goal of the select. Right, this is an arithmetic process. Print it out, print the result out, and that's why the select needs to be the execute. And of course, this expression to be printed out is not hosted within any column. Sorry, it's not hosted within any table. Hence, the from clause is not needed. This is very important. You see, this is the fundamental things we are putting together, the building blocks of the select statement. And when you master this basic stuff, as we go higher, it's gonna be easy. You see that? Are we okay? So this is it. And you can go ahead and say, hey, you know what? I want to put this result. I just want to put this in a column called result. So what is the result of 10 plus 15? Right? And that's when the magical AS keyword comes in to rename your column and run this 25. You see that? So 25 is the value, the outcome of this arithmetic operation, and this will be hosted in a column called result. So any question? So before we go to the next one, let me copy this. So please stop me if you have a question, if you need some clarification. This is very important. These are fundamental concepts that I want you guys to master them. Right? Now you have the skill set to look at the question and understand if it's coming from a table. Okay, Jules, you have a question?
No, you just said if you stop with any question. My question was with regards to the one of the string. So,
The one on the
if they
string,
ask that
yeah.
kind of a question,
The one on the stream, yeah.
so does it mean there's no answer for that, or we just had to put one string as you said? Is that the answer?
Yes, a single string is the way
Yes, a
forward.
single string is the way forward.
Yeah, one
Okay,
string. Yeah,
okay.
because you
Yeah,
see, if you do the
So
double one,
that's just all the
if
question
you do the
wanted.
double one.
yes. So yeah, just write
Yes.
a query
Okay.
that will render
Okay.
this.
Just write query that will render this.
Yeah, so this is correct.
Yeah. So this is
Okay.
correct.
Now you understand this is only the from clause.
Now
It's
you
not coming
understand
from a
this is only
table.
the form clause. It's not coming from a table.
Okay. Okay. No worries. Thank you.
Okay, let's see. So there's the next one right here. Question 5. It's still one of those basic questions. Right? It's a SQL query to display the result of an arithmetic expression. Again, this is subjective. You can choose any arithmetic operation of your choice and do it. This is an arithmetic operation, right? Or if right, so do any arithmetic operation of your choice. 100 multiplied by 10. Now let me show you something that it's if I just do this 100 minus 15 plus 10 divided by 2. There's something called order of operation. If I run this, the system will figure out its own way to process this, and it might not be the right thing. But then if I step in and say, hey, this I want to guide the system how to process this, that's when the order of operation steps in. If you notice when I run this last time was 90. Let's see what it gets. It stays on 90. All right, so the order of operation kind of matters. Right, so we use this to guide the process. As we go further in our analysis, I'm gonna be bringing in the parentheses to guide the system. If there's a lot to be done, right, you can guide the system where to begin the processing, begin processing the information. So always feel free to use this parentheses and add the new stuff, right? Let me see an example. Let's begin with so my goal here is to compute 50%. Right. So these two are normally supposed to be processed together, and then this will be the division. Right. So this is exactly what I have in mind. Right. I form this together is the first. Anytime you put parentheses, the system will target the parentheses expression and work on first. So if I submit these two, you may have two different answers. See this? And that's exactly what you're seeing right here. You see that? Because this is, let me just add one thing right here. It's an issue about data type. This is the second one is not actually 0. 5 divided by 2. This will always give you what? This is a numerator is an integer. The denominator is an integer. You will get an integer. And when I run it, you understand what I'm talking about. You're not going to get 2.5 because 2.5 is not an integer. This is when the data type comes in. See, this is supposed to be 100 minus 50, which is 50. 50 divided by 100, it's 0 point something. But then the system shuts down the decimals because this entire process involves whole numbers. So the answer also must be a whole number. This is supposed to be 0 point something, but it shuts down the decimals. You see, it's the same thing we're getting right here. So my point is always bring in your parentheses to guide the system. You may have this calculation in mind, but then you submit it like this, right? See what it does? It does something completely different, right? So feel free to incorporate your parentheses in order to, when you have a series of calculations to go through, you can, you know, guide the system how to execute the calculation in your desired format. Right. This is very, very important. See that? Yeah, so more, I'm going to come back on this. We're going to see more of this. But for this, you have to understand this is a data type issue. The numerator is an integer. The denominator is an integer. The outcome will be an integer. And that's why you get 2 and not 2.5. You might think that SQL Server does not know basic division. That's not correct. It has a lot to do about the data type. Right? You see that? So this is very important. And in the presence of a decimal, either at the numerator or the denominator, it changes the dynamics. This is when you're going to get those your decimals. Right? But these are strictly integers. You will get strictly integer for the result. You see that? All right. So I will come back to this. When we start working on those calculations, you will understand that better. So data types are very crucial in SQL. Okay, so let's talk about this one. This is question 6. Again, we are back to the salesman table. So write a SQL statement to display specific columns such as name and commission. All right, this is similar to what we did in the first question, but then instead of returning all those columns, we're just going to go back to it and remove the columns that are not needed. Right, this is the question right here. So there are specific columns to be returned. Right, and I think if you go back, this is it right here. Let's copy this. Right. So this is giving us all the columns, or better still, we can just go back to our asterisk. We know the table we are querying. The question is targeting the salesman table. This is it. We are still on inventory. So if I run this, it's going against the inventory database, which is correct. And you see, out of 1, 2, 3, 4 columns, what they need just 2. These are specific columns. They need just the name and the commission. So kick out the asterisk, name, commission. That's it. Any question on this? Before we leave today, I want us to learn something new. I will extend it to the where clause. Let's start seeing conditions so that at least you must have learned something new today. Last time we did not get all the way to the where clause. So yeah, let's continue. 7. I'm just going to copy this. Remember, stop me when you have a question. What do we have right here? I'm just going to put them. So again, we're still dealing with the salesman table. Is it the same? No, this time around we're dealing with the orders table. So we know the table. Let's just go ahead and do a select star from the table. This should be a reflex. So once you read the requirement and you understand the table, you know the table, do a select star from the table so you can see it displayed. Know the data you're dealing with. This is it right here. We are dealing with 12 rows. There are 12 orders in this table. Now, if you go back to the question, it's going to make more sense as we read through. So write a query to display the column names in a specific order, such as what the order date. So the first column should be the order date. This is the order date right here. See that? And this is what you will get if you just don't print out the table in front of you, right? You're just going to type order date. The way the requirements are given to you does not match column names in the table, right? And that's, you see, this is not what you should be doing. So begin by exploring the table. And how do you explore a table? Do the base query, select star from the table, print it out. When you see order date, whoever is giving this instruction does not even know how the columns are captured in the table. So this is where the gospel truth lies. You see, you have to explore the table. Now, by exploring the table, you understand that it is order underscore date. That's the correct format. The system will not recognize this. See, you have to explore the table to understand that, okay, yeah, there's actually, this is how the system that column. You see, you have the table in front of you. You're not doing any guesswork. You see that? This is very important. The next column to be pulled up is what the salesman ID. Right. When you start typing, this is it shows up. You see, salesman ID. What's the next one is the order number. See, it is order number. You see, again, this will be a huge mistake, right? If you just answering questions without exploring the table, it is order number, right? What is the accurate, appropriate column for order number as captured in the table? This is it right here. So whatever you're doing right here, the system does not recognize it, right? So you have to, I keep, insisting on this. Always do a select star from the table. You have the table printed out right here, and you can understand each column, right? And see what the table has to offer. Order number, this is it. This is the correct column, order number. Now, purchase amount. If you just copy this purchase amount and you put it right here, it gives you an error. You say, okay, maybe based on the format I see on the other columns, there should be an underscore right here. You go ahead and force the underscore. See, why should you be guessing things when the table is right there? You can do a select star from the table, print it out, and see the actual columns. You see? So this is the correct column name. This is not allowed. You see that? All right. Purchase amount. See that? Now I can execute this. Now some project owners might be very, very, picky in the names of their columns. Now this is when the aliasing can help you. You've submitted this and say, hey, I want you to stick to the way the columns were provided. That's when your alias comes in very handy. All right, so your manager tells you, I don't want to see this order. They just type it like you do it in a sentence in English. Okay, you just copy that and you put it as an alias, paste that. Now you run into a very serious issue in SQL. SQL does not like spaces. See, if your column name has a space, you're gonna get an error. And this is the space I'm talking about. That's why we choose to fuse things or you put an underscore. You see, but your manager insists that, hey, the way the column names have been provided, stick to it. So you cannot force that. You have to go through an alias, right? And in this case, how do you force the system to accept the space? You have to tell the system, hey, these two words put together define that alias, and that's the symbol you need. It's a square bracket. All right, this is something new for today. It's a square bracket. It's also in the lecture materials. We're going to see it again on Saturday, but I want you to understand this. So this is the square bracket. It forces the system to understand that these two words put together with a space in between is used to define that column. The system is used to having just one word or words that are fused together or words that are separated, linked together by an underscore. Those are the required formats. See, now we are forcing the system to accept these two words together with a space as the name of that column, you see. And now you're trying to stick to how the project owner gave you the requirements. Are we okay? This is very important. This is what we call square bracket. Square bracket. This is very, very important. You're going to find it in the notes. Right. Same thing for the salesman ID. Let's stick to their requirement. You have to first of all project what the table says, then you can transform the alias. This is very important. You see, you cannot search for something that the table does not have to. Right. So you first of all recognize the fact that the table has it in this format, and then you can now project it in the format the project owner wants to see. Again, the space. If I shut down this space, I'm good. But as long as that space is there, I need to put my square bracket. Now you've learned this is something additional you're picking up today. You see that? So I am giving the columns in their original format and I'm aliasing them in a format that the project owner wants to see them. See that? And that's when the aliasing comes in place. With the space, you must use the square bracket. Same thing, order number. Right. I'm going to stop right here and alias the order number. See, not everyone will know this is an order number. Let's make that column name descriptive. Again, paste that. You see the space, it's an error. Don't even bother to execute this. You get an error. It's not valid. You have to understand that the error is right here. Force those two words together. Right, the system now recognizes those. You can run them. See, same thing with the purchase amount. So these are more descriptive. Right, so I'm transforming my columns to more descriptive names. I know I'm going to use a square bracket because there's a space involved. See that? Now if I can run this, see what we're getting. But don't make the mistake of calling this. The system does not recognize a column as what order did with a space. Right. So you see the transformation we've done right here. This is if it is needed. See, in this question, I don't think it was needed. But this, some project owners, they give you the requirements and they want you to, print them out in the format in which it was given. Are we okay? So this is much more readable compared to the previous one. You see that? Any question on this? I want to stop right here. Questions. In fact, let me just share this and I'll give you a couple of minutes to run that at your end and let's ask questions. Let's clarify any doubt you have on that. Copy the question and the solution and then just run it at your end. So the most important thing to take away from this is when you have spaces in your alias, right, and the spaces are needed, then you must introduce your square bracket, right? Without the square bracket, you get an error. Okay, any question? Okay, so we're making progress. Let's check out the next one. This is going to be question 8. Yeah, this concept right here, I'll have to. We're going to see it again on Saturday, but I think it's something simple. I can just discuss it right here. So what table are we using? It's still the orders table. So this is the next question right here. I'm just going to paste it right here. And I will do some adjustments so that it can fit on a single view. Okay, right here. So we are still dealing with the orders table. Right. So first thing, exploration. I will do a select style from the orders table, dbo.orders. I'm going to execute this. All right. So write a SQL query to identify unique salespeople ID. This is very important. These are the salespeople, salesman ID. You see how you will get yourself confused if you don't consult the table. It says salespeople ID. Yeah. The table is capturing what? Salesman ID. Yes, that's the correct column. Salesman ID is the correct column. Execute this. Right. So first of all, let me go back and explain something. This is the orders table, right? So a customer walks in, place an order, and a salesperson is going to help to process that order. So for example, this order number, this is the purchase amount, this is the order date. This transaction was requested by this customer, and this salesperson processed that order. So you see the orders table is tracking the transactions, and of course, the full description of the transaction has to include the customer will place the transaction and the salesperson will help to process that transaction. You see, now we understand that one salesperson can process more transaction, more than one transaction. So this is a one-to-many relationship. For example, this salesperson right here process this transaction. They were also involved in this transaction. They were also involved in this transaction. You see that? So what's the point I'm trying to make? If you just extract the salesman ID, you will notice repetitions. And if you go back to the question, they want you to just show the unique salesman ID. So no two ID should repeat more than once. You see? If you look at this, it's a repetition right here. It's a repetition right here. Same thing with this. It's repeating, it's repeating, it's repeating. Now, there's something very interesting in SQL. If the project owner wants you to display the unique outcome of any given column, you just put the keyword distinct in front of the column. This is very, very important, and that's the end of that question. By putting the keyword distinct, no duplicates will be displayed on any given value on that particular column. So this is the point I want to show you the difference between this and this. So if you run this, you cannot tell your manager we have 12 sales persons, 12 sales IDs are being displayed. This is wrong. There are repetitions, there are duplicates. See? And when you put the distinct keyword, it will just render the unique occurrences of each. You see that 5001 is no longer occurring more than one. You see? And that is thanks to the distinct keyword we've placed in front of the column. Are we okay? This is very, very important. So it's just one keyword distinct. You cannot miss this. And now we are down to 6 distinct salespeople. So when you talk about unique salesperson, right, this thing we are talking right here is actually documented in week 2. Right, I will come back to the SQL practice one. There's a PDF document that is targeting everything I'm talking right here. I will come back to this again. So we're talking about the distinct keyword. This is it right here. This is the same question. Retrieve sales ID of all salesperson from the orders table without any repeats. So there should be no repetitions on the salesman ID. This version gives you repetitions. See, 5002, 5002, 5002. You see, if you don't want to see the repetitions, put a distinct keyword in front of the column. That's how you get rid of the duplicates or the repetitions. All right, this is just so straightforward and interesting, you see. So, and if you follow the demonstration right here, right, so the focus is on the salesman ID. If you follow the colors, identical colors means the same salesperson. But then if you look at the final outcome with a distinct, there are no repetitions. You see, it removes the repetitions and just shows you the distinct or the unique. Right. So the keyword distinct, that's the goal. So always watch out for this. This is something simple but very, very powerful. Right. So this is what you get. You get the repetitions if they occur. Right, 12 rows, sales person IDs are repeating. If you want to get a distinct or unique outcomes without any repetition, you have to put a distinct keyword in front of the column. You see that? So we're going to see more of this on Saturday. But I just want you to understand this, right? And so if you go back to the question, unique sales people ID, this is very important. Any question on this? Really want us to I really want us to touch base on a condition, right? Let me see if I can pull up a condition so that you can start seeing how conditions look like. We've been looking at really just simple, basic stuff, right? Okay, let's go. Let me go back to this. So that's question 8. Let's go to 9. Yeah, this one carries a condition, right? And this will be the focus of the Saturday session, right? So let me paste this right here and let's have a closer look at this. We are now gradually moving away from the simple select statement. We're now going to be introducing the where clause. And the where clause is what we use in SQL to introduce a condition, right? And this is really straightforward. So from the following table, what table is that? Let's go back to the question. We are still dealing with the salesman table. Yes, I'm just going to stop right there and run a base query on that table. Salesman table, execute this. And now let's go back to the question. I always want to read the question with the table projected in front of me. You see? So from the following table, write a SQL query to locate salespeople who live in the city of Paris. You have to understand that the focus is not to get all the 6 sales people. There are specific salespeople we are targeting, those who live in the city of Paris. This is a condition, right? This is very, very interesting. So we are gradually moving away from the general scenario where you're just returning your output should contain every single row in the table. We are moving to specifics. So your final result should give you this. That's somebody who lives in Paris, and this, that's somebody who lives in Paris. So when you execute this query, what should you do to get just these 2 rows? Upon your manual investigation, you've seen that there are just 2 salespeople who reside in the city of Paris. Right? If you're dealing with millions of records, you will not be able to do this manual investigation. You have to rely on the SQL language to go investigate that for you and return the information. So billions of data, you will not have time to scroll down each row and investigate this thing manually. So let's now, I'm going to take you back to the lecture material, right? And we can just talk briefly about it. It's easy. This is going to be the focus on the weekend. So let's go back to this document. You see this material right here. All right, please, you have all of this information. All right, start working on them. So far our focus has been on the simple select, just these 2. And now we are beginning to touch base on the condition, the where clause. Right. So now you have to understand that you have to read a requirement clearly, carefully, to see if there are conditions embedded in that requirement. We don't need all salesperson. We need just those that reside in Paris. That's all. And from our investigation, we see that there's just two salespersons who reside in Paris. So how do you embed a condition on your select statement? You do that through a where clause. Every condition is built around a column. In our case, Paris is what? This condition Paris is built on the city column. So you have to target the column. So you see, when you put a where clause, you must specify the column name on the column on which the condition is built around. You must use an appropriate operator. And of course, the value. Paris is the value. The question will always give you the value. And from the value, you will know the column. Now, the issue is what operator will you use? And that will be the focus of the weekend conversation Saturday. And I'll give you a long list of operators. We're going to go one after another. Where is that operator list? So this is where the discussion on the where clause begins. Limiting or filtering. We're trying to filter the results. We set a condition. Only those that fulfill the condition will show up in the result set. So there's always a column operator value. This is the structure of a condition. Column operator value. So what is a column? What's the operator to use and what's the value? The value will always be provided in the question. Now, in this question, the value is Paris. Paris is hosted within the column city. Now, what operator are we using? Equality. See, in this right here, I'm searching for a student whose first name is Francis. Is equality. You see, now you understand the column name, the operator, and the value. Francis is a value that can be found in the first name column. So when I put my where clause, I say where first name equal to Francis, only students with first name Francis will show up. Same thing right here. I want you to fetch for the student with student ID BI105. Student ID is a primary key, so only one student will be returned from this investigation. You see, no two students have this same value. Why? Because student ID is a primary key. So equality is an operator. So if you want to go back to this structure, column name, operator, value, I want you to hold on to this description. Column name, operator, value. Any condition you come across, you must be able to identify the value. You must be able to tie it to a given column and choose an appropriate operator to use. And talking about operator, this is a full list of operators we're going to go through. You see? So if we tell you to return only salespersons who reside in the city of Paris, you have to understand that Paris is the value, and the value Paris can be traced in the city column. So now you can put your where clause. Target the column is what? City. Right? Why are we targeting the city column? Because we are dealing with the value Paris, and only city can hold that value. Why equality is an exact search. We know exactly what you're searching is Paris. So that's why we are putting equality. Right. This is something important we are adding for today's lecture, and we're going to continue building this where clause. If I run this, see what we get. Our output has been reduced to 2 rows. If I run it without the condition, I get all my salesperson. There are 6 of them. Of these 6, how many reside in the city of Paris? I need to add my where clause to that search and I run it. This is what we call a filter. And if you go back to the notes, the title says limiting or filtering the results of a query. Without the where clause, there's no limitation. Every single record will be returned. In the presence of a where clause, we start the filtering. We limit the results. So instead of having 6, we have 2. And if you look carefully, these 2, they fulfill this condition. So if I run this, this is what the system does. It begins with the first row. Is city equal to Paris? No, this is going to be dropped out. Is city equal to Paris? Yes, this will be preserved. City equal to Paris? No, dropped out. City equal to Paris? No, dropped out, and so on. If there are 50 million rows, that investigation will be done per row. So this investigation right here, this is a condition on the rows. It will be tested against each row, and only those that evaluate true will be returned. This is something you have to understand. So when you click on execute, you have to understand what is going on behind the scene. This is the investigation right here. So when you're talking about the where clause, you have to understand the structure of the where clause, the column name, the operator, and the value. We started this topic by distinguishing between a value and a column. I think by now you understand that. And just throw in an appropriate operator. There are several of these operators we're going to go after. You see, so this we're going to begin with the simple ones: comparison operator, equality, where city is Paris, so city equal Paris. That would be the translation. Are we okay? Now let me show you how this looks like. So we are getting to serious stuff. You cannot afford to accumulate.
Can't afford to
Yes, somebody has a
accumulate.
question. Yeah, Jules, go ahead.
Prof, just on the one you see, the example you gave from
Yes.
the way it goes to Paris. So
Yeah.
it means when you're doing this one now, you don't do like, because I knew like we normally do the select star to pull out the database, and then we take out the star to put. So I was expecting normally that where they select was that's where we're gonna have the where city equals to Paris. So it mean so from our understanding now you have to first of all select the star and then put now the comparison what you said.
Okay. So yeah, that's a good point.
Okay, so yeah, that's a good point.
So you
So
you can go back to the columns and you fit the columns that were required. For example, you see return salesperson's name and city. That's the two columns of interest. So in that case, we can just knock out our asterisk, right? And you just put the columns that are requested: name, city. This is what you definitely do at the end, right? So now if I run this, so talking about the condition, right? This is how they've predefined their stuff. And I know you, so you mentioned this. So let me go back to this. It's not this one. What is the lecture material on this one? All right, I'll take you all the way to the layout of the keywords of the select statement, and each of these keywords have a role, right? So what keyword do you use to return columns is a select. So this is a very important table right here. It shows you each element or keyword of the select statement and the role. You see, so let's go. We've talked about this too, right? You cannot put a condition on the select because the role of the select is to do what? Just define the columns you want to return. And in this question, they tell you return the salesperson's name and city. These are the two fully respected: name and city. These are what columns. Columns go to what? The select clause. You see that? And that's the role right here. Defines which columns to return. Excellent. And again, you have to remember that columns don't come from space. I keep repeating that phrase, you see. Yes, these columns are coming from what? From what table? Name and city can be found in what table? The system has to know that. If I remove this, a serious confusion, right? You have to be able to explain this to somebody. Why the from clause? These columns are found in a certain table. The system has to know the table so that it can fetch these columns and return them. You see? So that's why the from clause is right here and it's pointing to the salesman table. Okay, so now we understand for columns, select clause, table source, the from. Let's go to the where clause. Condition filters rows using a predicate. A predicate is basically a condition. All right, so if I give you a condition, a requirement, I only want to see salespersons who live in the city of Paris. That is a condition. And conditions go to the where clause. Right? And what is the structure of that where clause? This is it right here. You must know the value. Always, they'll tell you the value. Use that value, track down the column, and then go for an appropriate operator. So only customers who reside in the city of Paris. Paris is a value. It's found in this column city. So we can now put where city equal Paris. And this is what this is a string. Again, if you make that mistake of just typing like this, it's an error. See? So please, it's just a series of rules and regulations that you have to follow. And that's what we call this the syntax. Right. and this order has to be respected. Sweaty feet will give horrible orders. As we keep studying the full keywords, you have to remember the order in which you're supposed to type them. You see, and that's the use of the mnemonics. We saw this thing right here. Sweaty feet will give horrible orders. You cannot interchange this. You cannot put your where clause right here. See, you cannot interchange that. See, right? So it must be listed. You see, on the left hand side, I see my keywords, uppercase, bold, right there in front of you. See, so this is where you place your columns. This is where you define the table, and this is where how you specify a condition. And you have to understand the impact of a condition. It will simply reduce the number of rows in the table. It's a filtering. You're limiting the results. You see. Okay, so back to you, Jules. Was I able to answer your question? Right. So always remember this layout.
Always remember this layout.
Yeah, the question was, it was very explicit.
Okay.
Very, very explicit.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
So please, as we are proceeding, yeah, we're gonna exhaust all of this, and at any level, there's a role, there's a use scenario. You see, you have to understand why are we bringing in the where clause. We are now beginning to address conditions. You see, the expression says here is a search condition, right? You're putting a condition, right? For you to purchase beer, you must be 18 years and above. That's a condition. If you want to put that in a select statement, you have to introduce in the where clause, right? Okay, so let's see what we can do right here. Okay, let's take another example. But before I go to an example, I want to show you a graphical representation of this process. We're talking about where clause. This is it right here. So display name and city of salesman who belongs to the city of Paris. Right. So this is the full table right here. This is your select statement you've written. The select, you put the name and city, the two columns you're targeting from, of course, it's salesman table, the where clause city equal to Paris. So this query is submitted against this table. So follow this arrow. This is a query. The query goes and hits the table, and then see the return. It isolates the two columns that were specified on the select clause. You see? And then guess what? On the row section, it highlights what? The two rows that fulfill the condition. Paris. Where city is Paris. City is not Paris on this one. It's New York. This is eliminated. So only where the city is Paris. So it highlights those. And this is now the return. You have to understand, why do we get two columns? Yeah, because you requested two columns on the select. And why is our city all pointing to Paris? Because of the condition city equal Paris. You see that? So yeah, this is what we're going to build up over the weekend. So you have the resources in front, right? So you can read ahead. I bet you're gonna, you know, you're gonna enjoy this, right? It's fun when you study something before the instructor gets to it. You have all the materials. You don't need to understand everything, but just pre-expose yourself to the information, right, and see what you can make out of it. And then when you sit back in the class and I go over the concepts, you're gonna understand it better. See? So this is very important. That's the where clause. Let's take more examples. Let me go back to the project we're working on and see. So that was 9. Let's take a look at 10. Is a condition right here. Can somebody tell me if there's a condition? Let me just copy this question. We are still on the customers table. Okay, now we're moving to the customers table. Right. So things are becoming a little bit tricky. You have to read the requirement carefully and spot a condition. If a condition is embedded in the question, you're gonna need a where clause to address the condition. Right. So let's read this together. Right. So first, let me just go ahead and project the table. I like doing this so that it's going to give you more information as you read the question, right? Right, you're able to see the table. This is a customer table. So let's run this, and you're able to see the columns that are captured in the customer table. You see? Okay, so write a query to find customers whose grade is 200. That's the condition. And you can clearly see there's a grade column and the grades are stored in that column. We are interested in only those that have a grade of 200. This person qualify. This person qualify. This person qualify. If you're working in a company, you'll be dealing with billions or millions of records. You cannot do what I'm doing right here. This manual inspection is crazy. You have to write a code, run the code, and the system will fetch that information for you within a short time possible. See, that's the power of the SQL language. So every data analyst, first requirement, you must know SQL. You must know the SQL language. That's the language that you will use to interact with the data that is stored in databases. You see, the select statement is there to retrieve data. So I need to retrieve specific data. Only those customers who have a grade of 200. And the value 200, you understand that's a grade. It is stored in the grade column. So go back to the where clause, the structure of the where clause, column name, operator value. So we know the column name, what operator are we going to use, and then you just specify the value. The value is 200. You cannot miss this, you see. So it always boils down to the operator because the value will be known from the question. The column will be known from the question. What operator to use? So we're going to keep it simple for now. We're going to be using with the equality. Is already equality. That's the translation. You see, can somebody tell me about something about this customer in terms of grade? The grade is missing, null. You see that? So that's why the grade column cannot be not null. It's a null column. It's optional, right? So at this point, the workflow depends on you. If you want to first of all address the column section before you move to the where clause, that's fine. So in the column section, they tell you to return what? Customer ID, customer name, city, grade. In fact, basically all the columns. If you want to address that, fine. Right? You can address the select, and then before you move to the where clause. So it all depends on you. Some other persons will choose here. Let me address the condition first before I go to the where clause. So at the end, so the most important thing is to get the outcome, the desired outcome. You see. So okay, let's address the columns that are requested. Rate or salesman ID. Right. Again, these are the columns that are requested. I want you to understand at this point, we are returning every individual in the customer table. No condition has been set, so everyone qualifies. That's why we're getting 8 rows in that table. All right. Stop right here and I'll bring in your where clause. You want to get only those customers who have a grade of 200. 200 is the value. The grade is the column. So grade equal 200. Grade equal 200. See what happens. 8 rows. Filtering is going to take place. We are down to what? 3. And if you focus on the grade, exactly 200. This is what we call an exact search equality. Are we okay? In fact, let me share this so you guys can run this. Please, you have to go back to this question, this project, and solve it again. All right. And this will help you prepare for the lab session. Sorry, the lecture, upcoming lecture on Saturday. The focus of that lecture will be on this part we are discussing. Right, so you have everything right here. You have the database. Right, you can just read. We talked about changing column names with the alias. Just read through. Everything is nicely documented right here. And I just want to expose you briefly to the where clause. We talked about the distinct. Just feel free to read that. I don't want to go too deep on the where clause. I just want to give you an idea about the where clause. It carries a condition and start learning how to build the condition. So things are becoming interesting. I think we're almost done with this lab. Let me check. We're supposed to answer the first 11 questions. And just take a look at the last question. This is it right here. Find orders that were delivered by salesman with ID this. Yes, this is a condition again. See, you're dealing with the orders table. I'm just going to copy this. All right. I need somebody to build the condition for this question. I'm going to set the environment for this. Going to the table. Let me first of all paste the question. I need somebody to build the condition for us. So what's the focus? Is the orders table? Yes, I will just write the select star from the orders table. I'm going to print it out and I need somebody to build the condition for us. The orders table. So we are not looking at all the orders. We are looking at orders which meet a specific requirement. Let me run this. Right. Can somebody help us identify the requirement? What's the condition in this question?
The sales, we need to provide the salesperson IT that is 501.
Excellent. You see, so you're not interested in all the orders.
Interested in all the others.
Oh, please, can you mute yourselves? Yeah. So that's a good point. You're not interested in all the others. We're just looking at orders that came or orders that were processed by this particular salesperson. 5001.
Salesperson.
See that? So 5001. Yes, this one qualifies. Is that the salesperson with ID that? So that's a salesman ID. So this is the value. We're talking about the salesperson ID. That's the salesman ID. We know the column. So we know the column and we know the value. You see that? And the operator to use is equality. It's an exact search. Right. So this is the build process where we always begin with the column. Right. Where salesman ID equal 5001. And see what happens. The system is going to investigate this condition. It will test it against each of these rows. And when it settles on the one that matches, it stops and returns it and it continues. The ones that don't qualify will be rejected. You see, this is very important. So this is a row by row search. You see, and as fast as this is going to deliver, you see, this is what you get. And if you look at the condition is fully met. You see that? This is something very interesting. You see, right here. Right. Just let me just take you to just a moment. Let me take you to LinkedIn. I did see somebody posted a series of LinkedIn right here. Where's my? I'm going to go to my activity section so that you can see. It's activity, all activity, reactions. So I usually just react to interesting articles I see online. and some of them I know I'm going to bring to the students. Okay, this is what I want us to talk about. I will actually download this and share with everyone. So these are top 50 SQL queries for interview. Question 1, write a SQL query to fetch first name from worker table using the alias name. This, see, can you write this query? You know the name of the table is what? It's a worker table. Worker. See, the table name is worker. You know the column to be fetched is what? First name. So the column goes to what? The select clause. So select first name. The table goes to what? The from clause. From worker. You see that? And they want you to alias the first name into a new column called worker name. Right? And this is the query. This is the query right here. So select first name. That's the column. This column is from the worker table, but they want you to rename first name as what? Worker name. That's the alias. You see that? Just imagine you were giving this an interview. Can you solve this? Right. And the next one is going to use a function. We're going to see that later on. And this one also, write a SQL query to fetch unique values of department from the worker table. This is what we just saw today. Unique values, you have to put a distinct in front of department. Then let me just talk about this. So these are two questions that in our little progress we can solve in these 50 questions in SQL interview. Right. This is something interesting. We are not wasting our time right here. You see. Let me just go to the academia database. I want to talk about the school system. Let's connect to academia, right? And write a select statement on the departments. Departments. Okay, anyway, departments, they're all going to be distinct. Of let me use Northwind. Show me the unique list of customers. Yes, unique list of customers. If your manager asks you, can you explore the customers table and give me a list of the countries from which our customers are based on? Right. So this could be something that you just have to on the Northwind is all on DBO. So DBO.customers, customers table is right here. There is a country column. I just go there and put country. You cannot tell your manager we have 91 countries in the customers table. Our customers are coming from 91 countries. This is wrong because you're going to see repetitions. As we go gradually, I will tell you about the order by. It helps you to sort things out. Order by country. This is the last clause we'll study. It's a very simple thing. Sorting. I mean, you all know what ordering means, you see. I say order by country. It's going to put this in alphabetical order. A to Z. You see how it has sorted it out. This is also in the lineup. We're going to talk about the order by. So this is just to let you understand that every one of these SQL keywords, they have a meaning. They have a role. All right. So let me take you back to that table with all the keywords and their role. You have to study this as we proceed. You see, this is the order by. Sorting, ascending, descending. And it helps you to visualize things nicely. All right. If you publish the results of students in alphabetical order, yes, you just have to go. If your name begins with an A, go to the top and see. If you don't see in the A section, you know what that means, you see. So it helps in visualization. Sorting helps. If I remove the order by and I see what I did previously, I ran these things were haphazard. Right. This is messed up. Right. So visualization is you want to present information in a way that people can easily digest it, people can easily understand it, people can easily relate to it. Yes, so there's something they call the order by. So if I run this, yes, you can now start seeing the repetitions. If I tell you Argentina is repeating 3 times, you see right there. Austria, Belgium, see? And so this 91 rows is not correct. We want to show you the distinct countries, the unique. You have to put distinct right here. Right, see? And if I run this, so for now, forget about the other bar. We're going to get to that. It's something easy. It's just for sorting purposes. You see? Now we're down to 21. Yes, there are 21 different countries for our customers. That's accurate, not 91. So you have to understand when you throw in a distinct based on the question. Let's go back to that interview question on LinkedIn. Did I lose track of that? Yes. Anyway, I can still pull it up. This one right here. Let me see if I can zoom in. Now I have to. As we proceed gradually, I will share this out. So, question one. This is something you can solve. Write a SQL query to fetch first name. This is a column. Where do columns go? On the select. So you see the query right here. Select first name. You have to understand this. This first name is a column. It doesn't come from space. You need a from clause. From, they tell you, is the worker table. Worker. And they want you to rename first name as what? Worker name. So the AS keyword is right here. Worker name. See? You can solve this. This is it. All right. And then this second one involves something we've already talked about. This third one involves something we've discussed today. See that? Write a SQL query to fetch unique values of the department. Just put this thing in front of it. You see? All right. Let me see if I can spot something we. Okay, the other ones are something. Yeah, so gradually we're gonna address this. Remember, we are still at the beginning phase, so the basic stuff. All right, so this weekend is gonna get more interesting. So please build up on this basic stuff. All right, because we're gonna be adding complexity on this basic stuff. So you have to master the basic stuff, and we're gonna be building those complexity gradually on it. All right, so you cannot afford to start, missing out on this. You have to practice this. This is very, very important. Okay, let's go ahead and complete this. So this last question is this is it. So just putting that where clause that is needed. Let's go back to this. The where clause is right there. We are down to 4 rows. All right, these are orders that will be processed by this particular salesperson. You see, their ID is flagged on each of the transactions. You see that? And now you can go back, kick out the asterisk. They want you to return the order number. Yes. Now you can put the specific columns that were requested. You see, order number, order date, the date, and the purchase amount. Purchase amount right here. This is it. Before we have 3 more minutes to finish for today's session. I want us to talk about something briefly before we go. I will talk about the academy database, right? And I'll focus on the student table. Select star from student. On the student table, let's just go back and investigate. Let's check out the schema. I'm suspecting is a test schema, but what schema is hosting the student table? Student table, okay, it's in DBO. Okay, yes, so student table is in DBO. Let's just put DBO dot student. Yeah, you see that? So let me just put up a series of conditions. List of all female students. You know what to do where? Female students, that's captured in the, I didn't mention gender, but I just mentioned the value. So by studying a table, you can know where to extract a given value. List of all female students. You know, there's a gender column. Yes, it's right there. Okay, so what do? We just put gender or female, and female is a string. You have to type it in this environment, right? And this SQL is not case sensitive. You can type this in all uppercase, it will still work. See, you can type this in all lowercase. So please take note, SQL is not case sensitive. This is a very, very important thing to remember. See, so out of 32 students, we have 14 females. You see, if you go to the gender column, everything is set. See, and we're going to start seeing things that are very interesting. Give me a list of all students that were born after 1990. Right, so that's what we're going to be seeing. That's when the comparison operators come in. We start seeing greater than, less than, or equal to. Those are all under the comparison operator. So that's something we're going to invest a lot of time on. This table you see right here. So we've just explored just one today, equality. There's greater than, there's less than. See, we're going to explore all of this, right? And this is going to take us for week 3 and week 4. Right, so please, all right, let's explore this. You can read further, right? Okay, that's not what I want to talk about. Let's go back on this. I have first name, last name. Right, you have this requirement. Let's get the first name, last name. Let's add address to the list. Address. Now, your manager wants you to combine the first and the last name of the student as full name. So create a new column called full name, which combines the first and the last name columns into one column. You see that? Now let me just go ahead and add the date of birth. We have date of birth here, DOB. See? So we want to combine the first and the last name into one column. Right. So I'm gonna stay on this. I just want to show you something interesting. Remove separation symbol and put a plus. This is the first step. Right. If these two were numerical columns, it will go ahead and perform an addition. It will sum up this value and this value, you see. But since these two are not numerical, they are strings, it will do what? It will fuse the two together. See what happens when I run this. My first name and last name, they've now been fused into one column. I want you to understand comma is the separation. It will put this on a separate column, put this on a separate column. So we have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4 columns when I execute this. If you're given a requirement to merge the contents of two or more columns, the first thing you do, initiate that process with the plus sign and wait and see what happens step by step. This is it right here. You see, the contents of those two columns have been fused into one. So this is now one column, which is this one, and this is another column, which is this one, and finally date of birth, which is this one. I want you to see the difference between this and this. We are still on 4 columns in the first one because of we are separating the columns, you see. So this is the first step in fusing the contents of 2 columns. I just fuse the columns with the plus sign. If these 2 columns were numeric, it would be summation, right? And the foundation of this is stemming from this concept right here, right? And this I've seen this in an interview question. 1, 2, 3 plus 3. What's the difference between these two? Step in here and I put a string of. I'm going to show you the interview question. The next class. So if I run this, you see what we get. And if I run this, you see what we get. So these two are different. They're all making use of the plus sign. Now the system identifies that these are numeric data types. And so the addition operation works right here because there are two numbers, we can sum them up. And the summation process is done right there. In this one, this is string. we combine strings together. You see, 1 to 3, combine 1 to 3. This is the outcome. Are we okay? This is very, very important. And that's the same thing we're going to explore in combining columns. You see, we initiate the plus sign, we take out the comma, initiate the plus sign. You see, first step, the two columns are fused together into one. You see, and the last thing we're going to do, I'll show you this. Need a space. We all agree. Put a first name, space, last name. We need a space. And this is how you put a space in SQL. We have something we call a verbatim environment. See, this anything you type in this environment will be printed the way it is. This string environment. So if I go in there and I put a space, the space will be printed. I want you to understand why I continue with my plus sign. So take the first name, combine it with the space, and combine the space to the last name. That's basically what we're doing. And you see, so there's no magic in this. If I remove the space, you will not get any space. Remember that string environment is a verbatim environment. If I type this symbol, I will get this. And now you see, I'm already building an email. If I was told to build an email column, I can just do it. And I just put at gmail.com or google.com, facebook.com, you see. And you see, that's the beginning of something interesting. So what we need right here is a space. Knock this off and put a space. Right. So take first name, combine it with the space, take the space, combine the last name. Now you've done something which is visually appealing. And the last thing we're gonna do now is to what? Is provide name. We're told to combine these two columns and put it in a new column. You see, each time you perform some extra calculations or extra manipulations on columns, the new column you get will never have a name. Right? Separately, they were captured in the first name and last name. So you've done a maneuver on those two columns. It will give a name that, like you see, it's your responsibility to define this column. This is what we call a derived column. You've built a new column from two original existing columns in the table. So this column has no name, the new one you've built. So it is your responsibility to provide the name for this. Now call this full name. So this is a combination of the first name and the last name of the student, giving rise to what? Full name. Yes, we're going to practice this again in several projects. But guess what? It's in the notes. Everything I'm explaining right here. You just have to sit back and read this. So the best way to prepare for this Saturday's lecture is just to read this. Right. So everything I've explained, you're gonna see it right here, working on expressions. We've talked about this thing today. Just go back and read. This is it, working on expressions. You see, combine the first and the last name and give it. You see, I have spaces in this one. That's why I put a square bracket. If I have a space, that's an error. Fix this error, I have to include the square bracket. There's little things, you see. And then if I run this, you see. Okay, let's stop here for today. Any question?
Any question?
Prof, I'm just curious. Why did the first name and the last name not have strings when you're adding them? Like you put the string on first name and last name, since the
Okay, that's
like
a
you
good
said, there's
question. Yeah,
strings.
you
Okay,
cannot
that's a question.
you cannot put strings on columns.
Cannot put strings on column.
This is a column. You cannot do this. Is this what you're talking about? You cannot do this. I think that
Yeah,
notion.
that's what I'm talking about. That's
Yeah,
what I'm
that,
talking about.
yeah, that notion is borrowed from this. This is a value. You
That
can
notion
do this on values.
why we do this on values.
You see that, and that's the whole conversation. We
That's the
started
whole
by talking
conversation
about the difference
by
between
talking about the
column
difference between column.
versus value. See that when you're at the table environment, this is a column. You cannot put a column in a string environment. The system will not recognize this. See that? Yeah. So this is very, very important. That's a good observation. And that observation came from what I did right here. But then here we're talking about values. That's why we didn't put a from clause to show the column, the table. So you can do this for values. If the value is a string, you put that. But then if you're talking about columns, even if the column is hosting strings, yes, like first name is a string, is hosting, first name is a column, it is hosting string values. Yeah, but you cannot put this as a string. See that? This is not correct. You see what it did? It took, it's like you're saying, okay, give me the value first name and join it with the last names of the students as they call. You see, it is so first name has been transformed into a string, hard coded. And that's why you see anything you put in this environment will be printed the way it is. So first name has not been altered, it has been printed throughout. First name, first name, first, you see that? You have to be careful with this. We call this in SQL a verbatim environment. Anything you type in this environment will occur the way it is. So if I just type SQL right there, I'm using the string SQL and I'm combining it to the last name of each student. And that's what you're gonna see. SQL this, SQL, you see. Why? Because this was placed in a verbatim environment. This is what we call hard coding. It does not change the content. See, but then for something that changes, it's a column. The content will keep changing. You see, so you have to preserve the name of the column. Right, that's a very important question. Yes, and I want you guys to explore that. It all goes back to our conversation. What's the difference between a column and a value? See, and you remember each time you type anything in this environment, the system will not mess with it. It will print it the way it is. Right. This is very important. I just go right here and I type some nonsense in this environment. System does not care to know what you did right there. It will just print the nonsense as you've typed it. That's a verbatim environment. You see that? Right. So that's why we got to this environment and we need what? We need a space. We put a space there. If you need this symbol, put it there. If you, anything you need, put it. It will print it the way it is. I want to separate the first name and the last name with a hyphen. Yes, the system will do it. That's a verbatim environment. You're in charge. Decide what you want to put this. If you want a space, go back there, knock it off, put a space. Verbatim environment. You cannot force a column into a verbatim environment. This is basically what you're doing with this. It's a very interesting question, and I hope you pick up something from that demonstration. We're gonna stop right here.
Prof, then the last one, Prof.
Yeah, the last question. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, last question.
Before you go, I think also Grace has a question for you before you go as well. I see trying to get on as well.
Okay.
So I'm just curious. Also, the material that you showed us on LinkedIn, please don't forget to send it as well. And then I'm just curious, when you're working on this on the queries, you're doing these queries, how do you save this data? So it's like maybe if I want to come back again on what I've been working on, how do you save it and be able to retrieve it? Is it
Yeah,
like
man.
just close it? Like,
That's a very good question. So this is what we've done today, and it reminds me I haven't saved anything. So I have to save this because if you go back to the project, I did talk about make sure you save your script. This last part right here. To solve the first 11 questions, we've done that. Save your SQL script, document it. So this is it. And if you look at this is the script that is open right here. We have the asterisk. Everything I've done right here has not been saved. If you look at follow the bar from the top all the way to the bottom is yellow. Nothing has been saved on this script. That's not good. Click on the save button right here, and this thing is going to pop up. Provide a name. This is always very important. So this is what lab two solutions or week two lab solution or lab two solution. Yeah. So give it a name that you can remember it and save it in. Don't just click on save. This you uh, navigate to the appropriate location and save it. Right. So this should be week two lab, right? Week two folder lab, and just save it there. See that? Now, if this is shut down, we're just gonna shut down everything, and you want to resume working on this. You know what to do. You can click on File, Open. I want to open a file, and now I can navigate to my week 2 lab. That's where I saved it. You see, keeping track of everything you're doing is very important, right? So you don't go here and start asking yourself, wait, where did I save that file? And you know the name, lab 2 solution, this is it, and you're back. See, now you can see maybe you solve the first 5 and want to continue solving the next ones. This is what you'll be doing for every project. Right? Make sure you save your script. Right? Document. You see, yeah, that's a good question. Okay. I see you don't have any question for me. Let me see.
I do.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Yeah. When are we gonna do the catch-up class for the week 2, the one class that I missed, please? Even if
Uh
it's 30 minutes.
yes, we can do that on Friday, same time. Friday from 7. Anybody wants to join can join this Friday. Friday. I'm gonna send a link out. Friday at 7.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah, let's answer these 2 questions before we go. Can somebody tell me this? These are just quiz.
This is just quiz.
Mm, structured query language. I'll go for A. Yeah,
Structured
right.
query language. Yes. So SQL stands
Very
for
language.
structured query
Yes.
So
language.
SQL stands
Correct.
for very language. Correct.
I'm gonna skip the. Oh yeah, yeah. Which
I'm going to
SQL
skip.
statement
Oh
is
yeah.
used to extract data from a
First
database?
statement is the extract data from the database.
Select. This is what I'm doing.
I'll just
Correct.
use extract.
Select.
Select. Select.
Yeah.
Select.
Always
Select.
remember with the select statement is
Always
used
remember
to extract data
statement
from
is
database.
used to extract data from the database.
List or extract, prof.
No,
No,
extract, list, retrieve,
extract,
same thing.
list, retrieve, same thing.
Okay. Okay.
I'm gonna skip the ones we've not covered.
Skip the ones we covered.
Okay, let's do this and we're gonna close for today.
Let's
It's a
do this.
simple
We're
question
gonna
right here.
close with the
With
question right here.
SQL, how do you select column
SQL, how do you select
first
column
name from
first name
table person?
from table person?
B.
Select first name from
Select
person.
first name from person.
Excellent. You see, on the select, you
So you
carry the
see,
name of the
on
column.
the select
This column is
the
coming from
column,
what table? Person table.
what table, person table.
All columns from a table, asterisk.
All columns from the table, asterisk.
I will send this question. Okay, I want
I
us
will send this question.
to
Okay, I want to
let's do this one and
this.
leave this place. This is a
Let's do this
condition.
one and leave this
I
place.
want to get
This
to a
condition.
condition.
I
Yeah.
want to get the condition. Yeah,
Which one is correct?
transfer.
How do you select? I'll go for C.
A, B,
Select star
C.
for persons whose first name is equals
See,
Yeah, I expect everyone
C.
to have this. You see,
I
this is
expect
correct.
everyone to have this. This is correct.
Why asterisk? Because it says that we should get
Why
all the
asterisk?
records. So all
All
the
the
columns.
records,
No specific
all the
columns were
columns.
highlighted.
No specific columns are highlighted.
First name equal to Peter. Yes, that's it.
First name
First name
equals
is Peter.
Peter. Yes. First name
Okay.
is Peter.
Yeah, we're gonna stop right here. Okay. Good night, everyone. So Grace, I will send out the link on Friday. It's gonna be the same time. So Friday 7 p.m. Central Time. Same time for the lab.
Okay.
Yeah, but Friday, and we can just do maybe 30 minutes or a 1 hour. So please, you can come. Feel free to attend with your questions, and let's just right. It's gonna cover everything we've
Okay.
done so far. It's just a catch up. Please watch the videos before coming. Right, I'm not gonna teach everything. I just want to focus on the areas you need clarification. So
Okay.
yeah, go back and watch the week 1 and 2 videos. Okay. Good night, everyone.
1 and 2.
Nice one.
Yeah, week 1 and 2. Yeah.
Oh Lord. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
Good night.
Okay. Good night, everyone. Yeah.
Nice.
Good night, Prof. Thank you very much.
Okay. Good night. Yeah.
Good night. Yeah.